one thing I forgot to do was drill those holes out. This is just temporary. I'm sure they'll be going to use an authentic method of sealing threads. Graphited yarn or something a bit more suitable. Right, I'll blank this end off and put a pressure test on it just to make sure, but there's no way that's going to leak, no way. I seriously need a good tidy up in here. Once I get this job finished, that's going to be the next. It's actually going to be a project, tidying up. Right, the first thing we'll do is pump some water through just to get all the air out of the system. Right, that's water all the way up the top now. Nip this up. That's the bit we're interested in, just around there. There's 500 psi in there and there's nothing at all happening. Bone dry. These parts are for a friend of mine, a lad called Lee. Lee's got exactly the same table as this, Extreme Plasma table, but he hasn't got any 10mm plate. So he sent me a drawing up last night. I've loaded the drawing to the computer and we'll cut this one. That's really good. I've hardly any loss at all on there. Very happy with that. I'm sure Lee's happy as well. This is Richard Strone's DG8 Sentinel steam wagon. It's had the front of the cab taken off the part called the apron because it's just had its boiler inspection. When it's a part like this, it's a good opportunity to show you what some of the parts of the engine actually do. We'll start off with the boiler. What you're looking at there is a water gauge. That shows the level of water on the boiler. The level of water on the boiler is very important. If it gets too low, you do have major problems on your hands. Moving along, this thing here, it's called a motor door. It's an inspection cover, so you can inspect inside the boiler. Inside there is also the fusible plug, which you've seen me refill with lead. The idea of that is if the water gets too low, the lead in the plug melts and the steam rushes in and puts the fire out. There's a valve here. That valve is used for the water lifter for the engine. The engine's capable of sucking water or lifting water from a stream or a trough into the water tank. Next he has a valve, what they call a clack valve. That's a one-way valve. That's for the feed water from the engine boiler. This is the feed water heater. That's a pipe that comes from the boiler feed pump driven by the engine. There's a copper coil inside of there and the exhaust steam goes in from the underneath. The exhaust steam goes inside of here and heats the water up inside the copper coil, so it basically preheats it. That's the exhaust outlet there. That's the boiler feed water outlet from the heater, which goes into the check valve there. This valve here is a stop valve for the pressure gauge. That's the pressure gauge there. That shows the pressure inside the boiler. The boiler has a working pressure at 255 psi. This is the safety valve on the engine. There's a big spring and a valve in the bottom there. This is a pressure relief valve or a safety valve which opens at 255 psi. That's the exhaust pipe that goes up the chimney from the safety valve, and that's also a little drain pipe which comes down the bottom just so any water drains. This fitting here, this is what they call the wet side of the boiler. Out of here you get wet steam which goes into these two tubes. This is a superheater, which is a coil in top of the boiler which heats the steam up really hot to a high temperature to give a much more efficient, better running engine. It's not actually steam when it comes out the other end, it's more like a gas. It's a real high temperature. This is the exhaust pipe out of the boiler feed water heater. It goes into here and inside there is what they call a blast elbow. There's a restriction in there and there's actually a venturi inside the chimney. The steam is exhausted up the chimney and that actually draws the fires down inside the boiler. This pipe here allows steam to go in, what they call a blower. There's a little elbow in there and a little jet that blows steam up the chimney, which also draws the fire. Moving around, there's another clack valve here, one-way valve. That valve controls the water flow in from the water injector, or the steam water injector. Just a one-way valve. Coming further around, there's a valve here. That's a foot brake for the steam brakes, which is in the process of being coupled up. The wagon has steam brakes. That's the valve that works the steam blower. This is the isolator valve for the steam whistle. Coming around, that's the other end of the superheater coils. That's where your hot steam is. This is your regulator, or your throttle if you like. That's the actual handle there. That's the thing that lets the steam into the cylinders. And you're basically back around to the water heater. These are some of the controls for the wagon. That one there's a handbrake, which works on the rear axle. This one here is for your gearbox. You've got low, neutral and high. It's got a 2-speed gearbox. This controls your engine steam inlet. At the minute it's setting drain, which means that all the valves of the engine are open, allowing steam to run through just to warm things up. And you've got 2 sets of forwards and 2 sets of reverses. This is the steam injector, or the water injector. which works by steam. You can write a book on how and why a water injector works on a boiler. Here's another shot of the regulator. That's the actual valve that lets the steam into the cylinders. This valve here lets the steam into your injector. This valve down here lets the steam out of the system to stop and start the engine when you're manoeuvring, because you can't really work the regulator and turn the steering wheel at the same time because the steering is extremely heavy. See on the top of the boiler, that's a superheater. Pipes going into the boiler. There's a big coil of pipe under there which is in the direct heat, and that's the hot side coming out. You can't really see much down there because it's dark, but that's where the fire goes. And there's a chimney going up. This is just an outer casing like a heat shield. There's an actual venturi inside of there. This is the top of the safety valve. That's a lever so you can manually open the valve. These are the 3 levers from inside the cab. That one's a handbrake. This one controls the admission of steam into the engine. For reverse, that's 2 seconds for forward. Different cut-offs on the steam. And this one's your gearbox. It's in neutral at the minute. It's got a high range which is back, and a low range which is forward. High and low range. You basically use high range all the time. Another shot of the regulator, whistle isolator. That's the blower valve that lets steam into the chimney to help draw the fire. Another shot of the water gauge. There's 2 isolator valves on so you can actually turn it off in case the glass bursts. There's a bottom valve there which you can open, and that allows the water in the glass to blow down through just to clean the glass out. There's a plug here, that's where you fill the boiler with water when the boiler's empty, but you always leave it parked up with a full boiler of water. This handle here that looks like a handbrake actually controls the ash pan. It's like a damper. You can drop the pan down to get full air in, or lift it up to restrict the air. That's the ash pan there, which is fully up. That's the ash pan in its open position, where you're going to get maximum airflow through the boiler. I'll just close it and you can see how it actually works to damp the fire down. That restricts the airflow so the fire calms down. This is the boiler feed pump which is driven off the engine. This pumps water into the boiler. Once again, it's just time to say thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and as always a massive thanks for all the well wishers that are coming in, especially towards my dad. My dad's still in hospital. He's in good spirits, he just wants to get home. We're not quite sure what's going to happen. His mobility is not good at all. Anyway, he's in the best place, he's been well looked after, and once again I must thank all the staff at the Freeman Hospital. They've been fantastic. They really do a grand job. Anyway, thanks for watching.